Hello, listeners. This is Kat. Welcome back to Put Your Hands Up Podfics. This will be the continuation of Watch Your Heroes Fall. This will be Part 10, Chapter 12, entitled Phase 2, Scene 3, Green Light. Momo had been adamantly against using her quirk to print money. Admittedly, Izuku should have predicted that her moral compass had a limit. He just really didn't expect the line to be economic inflation. Still, funding needs to come from somewhere, and nobody in the league, except Magne, if you count her wages and tips from her Saturday night shows, had a real source of income. "How were you guys operating before?" Izuku asked them. Hitoshi had asked the same thing 5 minutes ago, but he sounded incredulous when he asked it, so all the responses he got were jaded and sarcastic and secretive. Izuku asks it in a general, genuine manner, so his responses are a little more open. "Define operating," Dabi says. Jean nods. "We lived here, we fended for ourselves, we helped each other out." "What would we need an income for?" Kurogiri asks. Momo, sipping tea at a booth, says, "Well, for things like outfits. I was here to make them for you since I joined, but before me, what were you planning on doing when your clothes tore in battle?" Toga laughs. "They did tear!" She rolls up one sleeve of her sweater and shows Momo a rough, moth-eaten, friction-torn hole from mid-bicep to elbow. "Oh," Momo says, frowning. "And you were just going to continue wearing that uniform, even though it's torn?" Magne says, "Dear, we aren't exactly the kind of people who could just walk into a store and buy clothes normally, even if we had the money to do so, which we don't." "Oh," Momo says again, frowning deeper. "You think I wear this beat-up jacket for aesthetics?" Dabi says. "You do wear it for aesthetics, fucking prick," Shigaraki mutters. "I'm talking about bigger things," Izuku interrupts. "Doctors, and first aid supplies for when you're injured, repairs to the bar, food costs, information. If we had doctors, I would look very different by now." Magne sighs wistfully. Jean pats her shoulder consolingly, and she gives him an appreciative smile. "Mostly when stuff breaks in the bar, we just don't use it anymore," Jean adds. "Like the sink in that one upstairs bathroom. It doesn't drain anymore, so we just put tape over the faucet so we remember not to turn it on." "You mean so you remember not to turn it on," Shigaraki hisses. "He may have flooded the bathroom once," Compass explains. "No, you did," Jean shouts, then contradicts himself with, "I may have forgotten that time." "And we're all more than capable of feeding ourselves," Dabi interrupts with a shrug. Toga nods. "You get good at it when you don't have a house." Kurogiri, after getting a confirmation nod from Shigaraki, admits that we never really sought out information. All for one told us what we needed to know, and then we acted on that. Hitoshi's brow wrinkles, and he asks, "And you never once suspected that he might be cherry-picking the information to lead you to very specific conclusions?" The air from Shigaraki's section of the bar starts to smell murderous, so Hitoshi adds, "Even at UA, if just one teacher was teaching you everything, wouldn't it be good to search for more answers yourself too, so that you can be sure that all your eggs aren't in one basket?" Magne fixes Hitoshi with a very specific look. After a minute, she asks, "Are you, I mean not to be rude, but are you in the system?" "Huh? Foster care? Yeah, why?" "Really? So was I. Well, up until a certain point, I mean. A girl has to strike out on her own sometime or other, but I knew I liked something about you." Magne seems overjoyed to find something in common with one of the newest members of the crew, and even Hitoshi offers a skittish smile and a shrug. "Loving the cute little Annie rerun we've got going on over there," Shigaraki hisses, earning him peeved glares from Hitoshi and Magne. "But what do you need money for?" Izuku replies, "That information will be revealed in time." Shigaraki, who, even after only a few days, has gotten used to Izuku's brick wall responses, amends. "Well, how are you even going to get the money?" "Legally," Izuku replies. Hitoshi, Momo, Toga, and Dabi think this is hilarious, and Magne, Compass, and Jean think it's hilarious to see Shigaraki all worked up. Even Kurogiri is grinning, somewhere under all that smoke. But, a week later, that upstairs sink drains like normal, and Kurogiri finds the bar's fridge suspiciously well stocked. They try asking Izuku how he got the money that quickly, and the only answer he gives are in dark circles under his eyes and the word, "legally." Hitoshi imprints on Magne very quickly. It helps that she never treats him like anything closer than a younger brother, even if she's almost old enough to be his mother. Izuku doesn't ask about it, because it doesn't interfere with the plan, and he doesn't want to scare off the growing camaraderie. Momo does ask, though, and Hitoshi shrugs and tells her, I don't know. I've almost always been the oldest in my foster homes. I don't know. It's cool to not be the oldest. He starts insisting that they go see her Saturday shows, and Toga, Jean, Compass, and Momo all think this is a fantastic idea. Izuku says that sounds like a good idea. Trust and group activities are good for group cohesion, after all. Even Shigaraki's bitter words are curbed by curiosity. So, with Magne's permission, as long as you don't make a scene and ruin my good reputation there, they're all getting ready to go on Saturday night. Momo insists they need disguises, and since walking into a store isn't exactly plausible as Japan's #1 most wanted villains, she makes them. Toga has her hair tucked into a baseball hat. Compass has taken off his mask and signature outfit, and is wearing fake glasses just to be in the spirit. Hitoshi has a pink wig and sunglasses. Dabi, unexpectedly excited about the disguises, has a red wig and green contacts and a lot of makeup. Jean has a different mask than his normal mask. Momo has made herself purple contacts and put her hair in pigtails, and Izuku has a white wig and fake glasses. Shigaraki outright refused any costume and instead has an extremely baggy hoodie with a hood he can sink into. Kurogiri has opted to stay home, since you can't exactly hide it when your whole body is made of smoke. Magne sees them getting ready before she leaves, 3 hours ahead of them, and laughs. You guys might be more dressed up than me by the time you get there. She has a giant backpack of supplies that she's taking with her, but the only difference on her face is that she's shaved. When Momo asks why she doesn't seem more done up, Compass answers that Magne always leaves hours early to get ready at the club where her shows take place. They arrive at the club in their disguises, although once they're inside, they hardly need them. It's dark, with flashing lights that make Toga squint her eyes shut until they find a quiet booth in the back to sit at. Hitoshi donates his sunglasses, and she sighs in relief once they're over her eyes. They stand up from the booth, a bit more acclimated to the pulsing music and lights, and Dabi says they should get drinks, and Compass whacks him on the back of the head and reminds him that they're mostly minors. Dabi shrugs and tells them to suit themselves, and he wanders off to the bar. I found the set list, Momo says excitedly, handing the paper around the group. Magne has 2 sets. She's under the name Magenta Nightingale. See, that's her face there. She's up first, Hitoshi cries, eyes shining in the lights in a way that surprises everyone. Come on, let's go sit up front. He drags Momo with one hand, and, of all people, mostly because he's a little distracted and it's a little dark, Shigaraki with the other. Momo laughs and helps Hitoshi claim a spot next to the taped-off area of the floor that marks the stage, and Shigaraki stares at his wrist where Hitoshi's grabbing it with wide eyes and wrinkled eyebrows. Izuku keeps a careful eye on Shigaraki's fingers, legs a little tensed for a fight just in case, but Shigaraki's fingers never touch Hitoshi, and eventually, Izuku relaxes and watches the stage with everyone else. A queen dressed in a blue bedazzled peacoat and fishnet stockings, who introduces herself as Miss Darling, acts as MC and gets the crowd excited and reminds them to tip the queens and kings generously, and then she sachets off stage, and a peppy song begins to play, and then there's Magne, in a green dress and gorgeous makeup, performing something along the lines of a lip sync and a dance routine to the raucous cheers of the crowd. Dabi returns just as she starts with a fistful of 1,000-yen notes, several of which he hands to Magne as she passes by them, and she grins a little wider and winks at them before continuing around the crowd. You really think I was going to show up empty-handed like you assholes? Dabi shouts over the crowd at the dumbfounded rest of the group. After her first set, Magne strolls back behind the curtain that separates the green room. Then there's another queen, 2 kings, and a 3rd queen. Then Magne is back up with another bright, peppy song that Momo and Toga both immediately know and start swaying to. Dabi tips generously once again, and this time Magne dips low in a curtsy and spins wide to make her skirt, this time light purple and frilly, spill out in a flowing circle that draws cheers and more tips from the audience. The whole show leaves everyone, from Compass to Shigaraki to Jean to Toga to Momo to Hitoshi to Izuku to Magne herself, breathless and flushed and grinning. It's just past 1 in the morning when they all get home. You guys were so sweet, Magne squeals. She's never had anyone in the audience for her shows. The experience has left her glowing. And Dabi, you even tipped. Well, yeah. You sit in the front row, you're supposed to tip. That's how it works. But you're broke. We're all broke, Mags. And you, she turns to the hero students. Even you 3 came. Of course we did. Hitoshi says, earning him a half-hair muss from Magne that he not-so-secretly relishes in. Izuku says, "We're a team now, after all. We should support each other." "And it was an amazing experience," Momo says. "Ah, Shigaraki, we've got to keep these little guys," Magne says. "Look at how sweet they are." Characteristically dramatic, Shigaraki grumbles. "They won't go home, so we're keeping them anyway." Uncharacteristically, he does not follow this up with some kind of insult. It's the first time he's had a neutral statement about the hero students in the 8 days they've been there. Izuku counts it as a win. "You're a shitty performer. That was amazing," Jean says, and spends about 30 seconds pulling at his hair and stomping his feet until he calms down enough to say, "Truly, Magne, that was awesome." Compass and Toga both agree. Everyone spends about 20 minutes gushing to Magne about her show, and the commotion wakes Kurogiri, even from 2 floors up, so they should probably be quieter. And he listens patiently through Toga and Hitoshi and Magne and Jean's overlapping accounts of the event, and then offers to make some warm milk to relax everyone for bed. "We're not kids, Kurogiri," Shigaraki says, sounding about 11 years old. "Adults need rest too," Kurogiri counters calmly, and then he ignores everyone and begins mixing milk and some spices in a warm pot. "I used to make this for Tomer frequently when he was younger." "Oh my gods, shut up," Shigaraki hisses, but the damage has been done, and Dabi and Toga are already teasing Shigaraki about being a whittle tiny baby who wants his milky milk. Despite all this, Shigaraki kills no one, and Izuku's forced to let his guard down even a little more. Kurogiri pours the milk into 8 cups. Everyone takes one, then everyone crashes within about 15 minutes. The next morning, Izuku is already sitting in the kitchen when Momo and Jean, the earliest risers, emerge from their rooms. He's scrolling rapidly through his phone, and when they enter the kitchen, he pockets the phone. Jean notices that the circles under Izuku's eyes are getting darker, but he doesn't say anything because he's not sure if that would cross the line. This isn't some kid, this is their temporary leader. Momo doesn't notice the dark circles. She has grown accustomed to living with Izuku from the dorms and knows that Izuku's dark circles wax and wane, like the moon, depending on a complex algorithm of circumstances nobody else, not even her, could ever understand. Izuku smiles at them, polite and a little tense. "Good morning." They both respond in kind, before stumbling around the room in a morning routine of breakfast and various caffeinated drinks, while the rest of the league eventually trickles downstairs to do the same. Once everyone is downstairs, Compass arriving last, impeccably dressed and awake as ever, Izuku clears his throat. Everyone looks up from their cereals and muffins. "Who got muffins?" Dabi had demanded, and Jean had added, "Who paid for muffins?" And nobody had fessed up, and half the box of muffins was already gone, along with half of the similarly suspiciously bought fruit. "We're ready for the next phase of the plan," Izuku says. "Thank Christ," Magne says around a bite of apple. "I was getting restless." All right, listeners, this concludes Chapter 12 of Watch Your Heroes Fall. Chapter 13 will be next. I hope you all are still enjoying, and as always, thank you so much for listening.